Founded by the Aztec Indians some 500 years ago, Mexico City today is a strange blend of the ancient and ultra-modern. The cathedral represents the long cultural tradition established by the conquistadores. Senor Ignacio Insunza exemplifies the fact, for he is a tailor to bullfighters, the only person with this occupation in all Mexico. His shop in the capital city is decorated with colorful posters. Here, highly skilled workers create the richly ornamented costumes of toreadors and matadors. Even old Mother Spain herself produces no better raiment for the classic art of bullfighting. Senor Insunza has costumed Mexico's idols of the bull ring for 50 years, and only the very best is good enough. In Mexico, old customs still endure. Matadors like these, and size is no criterion of skill, maintain ancient tradition in dress as in technique. These ornate cloaks will be worn in the parade before fighting begins. This favorite matador shows how the cape must be swirled to slightly detour an enraged charging bull. Unlike a toreador on horseback, a matador faces the situation on his own 2 feet. This muleta, or red cloth, helps him elude the animal before it's dispatched. Through centuries, bullfighting has remained a spectacular art. Here in Mexico City's great arena, a bull lunges at a matador who must act fast or be caught in the horns of a dilemma. Like our baseball fans, bullfighting patrons loudly praise or condemn every move. Skill and good nerves are imperative if a matador is to continue his unusual occupation. Personally, I can think of easier jobs, but to each his own, so adios. In this house back in 1893 lived the famous composer Anton Dvorak. And here in Spillville, Iowa, where Humoresque was begun and the New World Symphony completed, the Biley brothers continue the old world tradition of wood carving. This beautiful example is called the Parade of Nations clock, with 28 carved figures in native costumes representing the countries. It stands over 9 feet high. This richly hand-carved creation in oak and walnut features an hourly parade of apostles. Carving details are as exquisite as those of old European masters. Less pretentious but amusingly lifelike is this historic recreation of the village blacksmith shop with authentic trappings. In this showcase clock, statues of sundry geniuses including Shakespeare, Wagner, Abraham Lincoln, and Anton Dvorak keep steady company while a miniature orchestra plays a fitting tribute to the Bohemian composer who once lived here. Perhaps the most ambitious of Biley clocks is this, portraying American pioneer history. Here a character woodenly greets us on behalf of his various friends. With the creations of the Biley brothers, art tradition carries on in an Iowa village. These may look like spools of thread, and so they are, but for Mrs. Louise Waldby Morris of Bell Gardens, California, they're art materials of her unusual occupation. Other artists do portraits with pencils, crayons, or paint, but she creates them with a sewing machine and thread. Actress Hedy Lamarr is the subject of this little opus. A piece of organdy serves as a canvas, and over 200 different colors of thread are required to achieve the subtle tones of the miniature tapestries. This is a nerve-wracking way to prove her admiration of film stars, for every portrait she completes represents about 40 hours of hard work. A dozen or so headaches after it was started, the project is finished. Nothing but organdy and thread, girls, so oil up the old sewing machine. Maybe you too can be an artist. After all her effort, Mrs. Morris still has strength to carry the portrait over for a better display. Well, art certainly assumes ingenious forms. Delicate in coloring and expertly patterned, these sewing machine art creations have delighted the thousands who've seen them. And Mrs. Louise Waldby Morris proves once again that art often is where you least expect it. When you're in the doghouse with these fellows, you're really in a bad way, for they're bloodhounds belonging to the Arizona State Prison. Master of Hounds Dan Moore's unusual occupation consists of training them and putting them on the trail whenever necessary. Just now, they're taking off in a prison truck for a little practice. The dogs often are used to locate lost dude ranchers and the like, as well as criminals, and must be carefully trained from infancy. By nature, they're extremely gentle and sensitive. This precocious student seems anxious to get on the job. But here's one content to just take it easy. Now for today's lesson. Once the hounds have been given the scent to follow, practically nothing can foil them. And as the perspiring teacher's aide proves, if they want to meet you, that's all, brother. These P-80 jet planes out on the Lockheed flight ramp provide a remarkably unusual occupation for the company's chief test pilot, who stakes his life on the design and workmanship of each plane and must personally okay it before government acceptance. The final inspector feels assured that this sky hurtler is ready for service, but it's up to Tony LeVere to prove the powerful jet job is perfect in every way. With a parachute to slightly lessen his occupational hazards, Tony signs on for another fast ride. He's been doing this nearly every day for years and must be plenty good or he wouldn't be here. Well, looks clear upstairs, so on with the crash helmet and we'll get going. The airtight canopy helps control pressure in the cockpit, where a camera has been installed for candid close-ups of Tony's work. So assume you're coming along with this jet jockey on a race through space. It's a sleek craft, but beauty has to be more than skin deep, since this is designed for important business. Every test pilot has a heavy responsibility to the nation, for the efficiency of our air power may well determine our future. The mighty jet engine roars into action and the plane's airborne. The P-80 has been well named the Shooting Star. With its speed of over 700 miles an hour, Tony certainly has to be on his toes every second. A good ability to judge distance comes in handy too, with a wing practically scraping the ground. This kind of flying greatly increases strain on the P-80's parts. A slight miscalculation and Mr. LeVere's career would end with a bang. A sudden climb at terrific speed. Up into the wild blue yonder, rolling over as he goes. It takes a mighty good man to keep his head in this situation. Down toward earth he spins, pulling out in the nick of time. Only after such tests is each plane accepted. And this pilot doesn't just spin for fun. The P-80 has passed its low-altitude test. Now for a jaunt up into the stratosphere, where the extreme cold and rarefied atmosphere, many miles above the Earth, make flight more hazardous. Like a rocket, the plane shoots up into the sky, thousands of feet in a few seconds. And Tony readies his high-altitude gear. Safeguarded by an oxygen mask, he roars across mountain peaks. Now here's a rear view from a camera mounted just ahead of the tail. Downstairs again, and Tony's off for another little jaunt, this time along the Southern California shore. Until now, the P-80's true speed has not been too apparent, but barely skimming the waves, Tony opens the jet. It's just a routine flight for Chief Test Pilot Tony LeVere, who rides shooting stars through the sky day after day in his unusual occupation, testing the jet fighters that protect America.